Hey, listeners, before we get into today's podcast, I just first of all want to say thank you. This has been 5 years of podcasting for us, and I want to say thank you to those who have been here 5 years listening to us and those who this is your first time listening. It's been a phenomenal journey and a lot of fun, and I can't think of how else I would like to spend the next 5 years other than continuing to podcast and hopefully bring you guys some great shows and great interviews. With that being said, I want to thank today's sponsors, first of which is Pretentious Pickles. Our good friends at Pretentious Pickles, located right here in Plymouth, Massachusetts on 190 Water Street, have a huge variety of pickled items for your consumption. There's pickled beets, Brussels sprouts, carrots, mushrooms, cucumbers, you name it, they've put it in a jar and pickled it. They make a phenomenal product, and for the second year in a row have been won Best Gourmet Shop in the South Shore, Massachusetts area. So congratulations to Lorraine and everyone at Pretentious Pickle Company. And if you can't make it to their store, you can stop by www.pretentiouspickle.com and you can place an order online. They'll ship it right to you. If you're into pickles, you should definitely check that out. And our second sponsor today is HelloFresh. Do you feel like you're stuck in a dinner rut? With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients with mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip all those trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. You can now enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less with over 25 recipes to choose from each week. There's something for everyone to enjoy. All recipes are designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure delicious and simplicity. And I was just over there on their website checking out what they have to offer. And I'm telling you, it's making me super hungry. We have a prosciutto wrapped chicken, which I'm such a sucker for prosciutto. Chicken over garlic parm, which looks delicious. And even a beef tenderloin and brown butter veggies. There's a lot to choose from over there. It looks fantastic. And today they're offering our listeners a discount. You can go to the link in our show notes to get $80 off, including free shipping on HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit.
Which podcast are we doing?
Welcome back to the Bartalk. I almost fucked it up.
Did fuck it up.
Almost. The Bartalk podcast. I am Andy, your host, and I am joined today by Jordan Shabbat
Hello.
of the Speedwell Tavern.
Thank you.
Fish, our producer, editor extraordinaire.
Yellow.
Dan Mahoney of Stats,
What's up?
who is not much of a voice.
Debuting my sexy, raspy voice.
R&B Dan,
Yeah.
dude.
1-900 number. Side hustle.
So call in and give us your credit card number. $1.99 a minute. And an unlikely guest, Hanna Dowling from the Old Colony cast.
What's up?
What's up?
It's Gonsalves down.
Gonzalez Dowling.
I don't know
Sorry.
how many times we need to go over this.
Every time.
Wow, she's super angry this morning. Dan, you want to trade
I like
seats?
it.
You want to trade seats?
You know what? Like, not having Carl here always makes it a little less angry, but Hanna, you're filling that role pretty well.
Don't hit me again. Stop
I'm
hitting
not
me.
angry, I swear. I'm just feeling like punchy. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
You'll fit right in.
I'm gonna feel hitty.
Apparently now I do. You
Yeah.
threw down a speedball.
Yeah. So yeah, we're doing a little cross promotion for the podcast today. So we've been talking about it for a while to bring Hanna on the show, and Old Colony's a bit of a history podcast. So we're gonna do a little bar liquor history. So what are we talking about today, Hanna Gonzalez Dowling?
There you go. Nicely done.
Don't hit me again.
I won't. We're going to talk about prohibition and what would have been the lack of consumption, but it really was not.
Just like anything else.
Yeah.
As soon as you take it away, everyone does it twice as much.
Essentially, yes. And I'm going to give you just a little timeline of it and what that looked like for us in Massachusetts mostly. And we will get to a couple Plymouth things, but
Nice.
that's going to be towards the end. And yeah, we're going to talk about prohibition, or really what was just bootlegging for the span of 13 years in the United States.
So prohibition was a amendment to the Constitution.
Correct, the 18th Amendment, and it was from 1920 to 1933.
Reagan administration.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, he knows.
I was born then.
Prior to that initial prohibition, though, there was the colonial laws that were passed that prohibited or encouraged alcohol consumption.
Encouraged.
There was a nice spread of either saying you can't do that with alcohol or you should be doing that. So we're going to go through like colonial era things first.
No kidding.
But first before I do that, we're going to talk about the whole point of prohibition. Do you guys know why they wanted to prohibit the sale of alcohol?
Was there a domestic abuse portion towards it?
Like partners?
Yeah, like their partners would be like, my husband hits me when he drinks.
Oh,
and
there was just many reasons why.
Yeah.
There's certainly reasons why people shouldn't drink now, right?
Right.
So they
Right, of
just-
course.
That's what I assumed. It was just
Yeah.
it was all encompassing.
All
and
the same reasons as today.
I just know I've heard that, and there was a woman, like, she was Hatchet was like her nickname or something. She'd walk around with like hatchets and chop up barrels of booze, and that was like one of her big things was like, I'm gonna have to. I've heard her on. I haven't heard her. I've heard her story on multiple podcasts, and she was like a big
Libby Boozin. Instead of Lizzie Borden, you just switch those two letters.
but she was like a big person in the temperance movement.
So, in this time, like any time in our country you could look at, there's usually a pretty big divide between like certain perspectives and what people believe and don't believe. So there were the dries versus the wets.
Mm-hmm. And the drives were probably more like I am outwardly saying I don't drink.
Like a pickup basketball game for
Not
like porn
that,
stars.
not just, not just I don't drink, but no one should.
Right.
Like we shouldn't drink, kind of thing. And so obviously, when you prohibit something, Jordan mentioned it earlier. What happens?
You want to do it twice as much.
Yes.
You put a kid in timeout for playing with scissors. Now he's going to go grab a steak
He's
knife.
stabbing everybody.
Yeah.
So,
I have one at home.
Stabbing everybody?
A steak knife, a kid, a scissors, all of it. It's a shit show.
crime was one of the bigger contributors to like what people thought would be the grab to not serving and people not drinking alcohol. They're like, well, we'll have a decrease in crime because we will have less alcohol related crimes going on, like people committing things when they're actually drunk versus sober, and it actually increased crime and pretty much jump started the
Yeah, because
The
you're
mob.
making more things
mob,
against
yeah.
the law.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's like marijuana. Like,
Yeah.
the people in jail that shouldn't be in jail because marijuana was illegal. Now marijuana is legal. Those people still in jail.
yeah.
Plus, everyone's so much more angry, so like,
Yeah.
rob people.
That's a really good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, they don't got their booze, so
well, I don't,
they did get.
I don't
their
make
booze.
good points, Jordan.
Yeah.
Take that back.
Sorry.
Yeah, it really created organized crime because of it. So it wasn't just crime; they created networked, like actual
Super crime.
Crime in a
crime.
single file line.
Yeah, exactly. So it went from like worse to way worse.
Right.
And in Massachusetts, it became like a really, I mean, everywhere was bootlegging, but Massachusetts, because of its coastline, became a hub for like bootlegging and rum
sure.
running. So off of the coast, 3 miles out, was called Rum Row. And that's where people in speedboats would go and grab and pick up from international, like,
They had
drop-offs.
speedboats in the 20s?
Yeah, well, think
Yeah.
about Indiana Jones and stuff.
Oh, yeah, no shit.
They weren't that fast, but
I'm thinking like the Flintstones.
Yeah.
Like, it's the guy like paddling through the bottom of the boat.
walk down in a swan boat.
They had fire in the 20s?
In the Reagan administration?
Yeah, so they'd go out, grab it, and it was like perfect because our beaches are so like, we have jagged coastline. I'm sure it was like that all through New England. Like people were able to hide easily when they
Right.
came onto the beach. It's not like you go down to South Beach and you're like, there's definitely some guys coming in on a boat right now. Like you could like go,
You're watching for 2 days.
yeah, you're like, I see someone. They're coming. We'll get them when they
Yeah.
come. Yeah. So it was easy for people to hide and just, hide what they were bringing in. And
Makes sense.
yeah, it was a big deal for us in Massachusetts to be bootleggers. But prior to that, we're going to go back to colonial times. In 1636, Thomas Savory is found guilty of drunkenness and whipped. And that was in Plymouth.
Guilty of drunkenness and whipped?
Yes.
Can you imagine how many whippings would go on a Saturday night right now?
My God.
The tables have turned. It
Yeah.
is
Now
quite
you
a
get whipped if
different
you're not sober.
scenario.
in Plymouth.
Is that the same Savory like all the streets are named
I
after?
believe
and
so.
stuff?
Yeah. Or probably from the same family.
So if I get drunk, I can get a street named after me in Plymouth? That'd be pretty sweet. Shout
Oh,
it.
I
man.
feel like if that's true, they'd all be called Chavez.
Only-
I'll take a couple whip cracks for a street name.
1637, there's some price mandates issued on beer and established to make sure that they weren't selling it for like that much. There was no exact price given. It was like 1 shilling, whatever the hell was going on back there. And then no person, also law passed along with that, no person will remain in a bar for longer than necessary.
Whoa, define necessary.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
pretty
My
fluid,
wife's still home. It's still necessary I'm here.
pretty fluid language. I
Right.
will say, like, going through some of this, I only pulled out the Massachusetts pieces and things relevant to us, but there were plenty of them that had to do with specific drunkenness. Like, I know there's laws about that today, but
Right.
like they were like, you can't be drunk here for that long. You can't be drunk there for that long. You know, like, don't wake up at this time and get drunk.
And that led to the first pub crawl in the United States.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, like, what year was that necessary law?
1637.
1637,
Holy shit.
and like 6 months ago, you could only be in a place for like 90 minutes.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
Full
not-
circle.
Yeah, it's
And then I didn't write this in, but it's worth noting our the first pub in Plymouth. You guys remember what
British
it
Beer
is?
Company.
Yeah.
That's the lie I tell you.
I'm like, that can't be true.
No, it's not, but it was close to that.
Really?
Yeah, it's where our favorite, that's a bad way to put it, where all the bones are kept on the hill.
On Memorial Hill,
Coles Hill.
Coles Hill, yeah.
So
No kidding.
James Cole had, where the wax museum was,
Oh,
what they
really?
say is the first pub.
Wow.
And now it's condos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
That's
is
terrible.
I mean, it's got a great view.
Oh, what's
Yeah.
the name of
Yeah.
it?
it? No, I said what isn't condos.
Oh, I thought you said what is
Except
it?
all the other
Yeah.
things that aren't condos,
Yeah.
but you know.
Turn them all into condos now.
Yeah.
You're going to add a couple condos above Speedwell.
Right?
Down.
The
Toss
basement.
them
Right.
I feel like that's either a genius idea or a terrible
in.
idea.
Right.
No. Got to work better than a yoga studio.
So,
Yoga studio comes downstairs in the middle of their class, complains that it smells like bacon upstairs. I'm like, I got to cook a case of bacon today. I don't know what to tell you. Do bacon yoga. It might be the new cool thing. I don't know.
Right.
Hot bacon yoga.
that's right. I forget what year that pub was established, but I want to think in my mind it was around the same year, like they had to remove the bodies from the hill.
Oh.
There's like people drinking outside, and then they're like, "Is that a foot?" You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. If I had to travel like across an entire ocean in the 1600s, I'd make sure there was a pub at the destination before I got there. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, if they landed at 1620, I assume the pub would be up by 1621.
It was pretty soon
Or
after.
19.
Or at least the brewery.
Yeah, pretty soon after. And I think they had a lot of microbreweries then
Yeah?
in their homes.
Were they all making like IPAs and had handlebar
They all,
mustaches?
I just mean they pretty much all made their own beer. 1639, Harvard failed to supply students with enough beer, and the president lost his job over it.
Fair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, fair.
Tough but
Yeah.
fair, yeah.
Tough but fair. 1645, Massachusetts made it illegal for anyone to be excessively drunk.
Define
and
excessively.
forbade ordinary keepers. So I tried to figure out what that
Ordinary
meant.
Keepers?
I don't know what
Like,
it means. To
that-
suffer
that-
anyone who
That's my
is-
new folk band, Ordinary Keepers.
Oh,
On-
cute.
I
Like,
bet you that already exists.
I don't know.
And honestly, that means bartenders.
Do you think?
Yeah, ordinary, like the barkeep, the ordinary keeper is just
Sure.
the guy behind
Yeah,
the bar.
okay.
I like that better than a mixologist.
Yeah. An ordinary keeper.
Yeah.
I like that
Of
a
the
lot,
fun
actually.
police.
I mean, Jordan, feel free to retitle all of your bartenders ordinary keepers at the Speedwell.
Yeah.
Yep.
They hate me enough as it is.
Then
So-
your new bar, that's what they'll be called.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Start fresh.
Perfect.
Forbade any bartenders, apparently, to suffer anyone who was too drunk for over an hour and a half in their houses, which is why I got confused what ordinary keeper.
Public house.
You
Public
think?
house, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Wow.
Look at you, Fish.
I know. This is
Again,
what he's-
that would still like not hold up on a Saturday night here.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So wait, I can only be too drunk for an hour and a half? I could swing that. I could stay not too drunk until like an hour before last call, and then it's too late to kick me out.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. You got it all figured out.
Before I forget to read this note, I need to thank a writer named Emily Sweeney who had almost the entirety of Google searches of Massachusetts prohibition information.
No kidding.
Wow.
So thank you for that, Emily Sweeney. In Massachusetts, 1654, Massachusetts had made in their preamble, quote, notwithstanding the great care this court hath had, and the laws made to suppress the swinish sin of drunkenness, yet persons addicted to the vice find out ways to deceive the law.
I don't
I
get
mean,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just let it simmer.
Did we
simmer.
just become like a Shakespeare podcast?
I was like, "Das hath
Yeah.
drunketh on thy."
So pretty much they were saying that, like, even if you're not addicted to it, people will still find ways to.
Oh,
Yeah,
drink.
people
Yeah.
will find
Oh, yeah.
ways to get drunk.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct. And then prohibition in Massachusetts started, like the actual prohibition, the amendment to it that we talked about earlier. January 17th, 1920 was the first dry day in the state,
Wow.
Wow.
and probably the last, I'm going to assume.
Right.
Right? January 27th of that same year, shopkeeper from Dorchester gets arrested for selling Jakey. Do you guys know what that is?
I feel like I do,
I need,
but
yeah.
I'm gonna get it wrong. It's basically something you make in your house, right? It's like a.
It
Like a
is.
bathtub gin kind of thing?
I think so.
It's
It's like winer.
high proof Jamaican ginger extract.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, which makes it like, yeah. And I was like, okay, Jake.
Which all the
Yeah.
mixologists listening now are screaming at their
Yeah, right.
app, being like, "How do you not know that?"
Yeah. Right. Right.
Snapping their suspenders at Jordan.
Yes. Yes. Twirling their handlebar mustaches.
Oh my gosh! So this is
Oh my god, mixologists are villains from silent movies.
Villains
Yeah.
are right.
wait, ordinary keepers.
Ordinary keepers.
Ordinary keepers are cool people.
No, we like the ordinary.
Yeah, we like
Okay,
it.
all right,
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
It's
no
like
pretentious with ordinary
Luigi
keepers.
and
Yeah.
Waluigi. I gotcha.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
What'd you say?
Luigi and Waluigi.
Oh,
Waluigi on the mixologist.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a T-shirt.
Before I forget about this too, I was just like looking up things, Plymouth, Prohibition, whatever I could fit into the Google search. And I see a thing for this bar, and it's like a speakeasy in Plymouth, and I was like, shut the fuck up. And I look into it, and I'm like, this does not exist. Like, what are you talking about? And I started looking into it, whatever the name is. It's a speakeasy type of name, and they're like, it's a secret door, you gotta go into it. It's down this road.
Highland?
Sounded like a Plymouth street name, but I was like, where the hell is that? It was in Michigan.
Oh, Plymouth, Michigan.
yeah.
I got so excited. I was like, what? How did we not hear about this?
No,
This
Highland's
is-
putting in a speakeasy.
Oh. Well, I mean, we all know where Highland is. Is
Yeah.
it somewhere else other than Highland?
No, it's behind the sliding door.
All
In
right.
the back. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's
It's still cool.
not a speakeasy.
It's-
Speakeasy.
Have you guys
'cause
been
It's
to the
a
one
very
in
easy
Portland?
speakeasy.
Maine?
Not the one
Yes.
in Portland.
No.
Cool, right?
Yep.
That was neat.
There's a cool, in Manchester, they have a cool one where you literally have to go into a phone booth and
Yeah.
dial like
Brooklyn,
the right
too.
code. Yeah.
The one in
Yeah, PDT.
The one in Portland, I was so bummed out because someone just so happened to be leaving the door when we walked in.
Oh.
So we didn't know. I was like, "Ugh, this ruins the experience.
Let's go walk around the block again.
Yeah.
The one in
I've walked around looking for that one too. I'm like,
Yeah.
will someone just tell me where I have to go?
PDT in Brooklyn, which stands for Please Don't Tell, is awesome. Brooklyn's super gentrified now. Everybody knows that. But there's like an old lingerie store that looks run down, whatever. Like you would never step foot in there. But it has like a phone booth in the corner.
Yep.
Like a retro phone booth, and you go in and you hit a button. You rotate it's like a rotary phone, and you knock a couple times, and they slide open the thing. And
Yep.
how many? 3. Okay. come back in 20 minutes. You come back, they let you in, and it's just the most beautiful like
Oh, that's cool.
lounge. Kind of reminding of like The Office when it was open
Yeah.
downtown.
Yeah.
And it's just dark, and you have a time limit. You can only be in there for 60 minutes. But they have all these craft cocktails. They actually have a book of all their cocktail recipes, but
Cool.
that's
so
cool.
fucking cool. That'd be awesome in Plymouth if you could pull that off.
Yeah.
Money Baby's going to be pretty cool, but it's not going to be a speakeasy. But
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put a complicated doorknob on your front door.
oh, it's wicked complicated. I have to
Yeah.
replace it every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you just replaced it the other day because I went to like turn the knob and it's not a knob and
No, now it's a gate handle,
Yeah.
and next week, I don't know, might be an elbow or something. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Office. Speaking of the office, so like one of the few times I went in there, they used to have like vintage Life magazines out.
Oh,
in,
no
like,
way.
Their little sitting area. I went to pick one up. It like fell apart in my hands. I was like, oh my god! Like,
Great idea. Kind of
I
backfired.
literally was
It
like
was like
turned
this.
a page and it was like tissue paper. I was like, oh my god! Why would they keep these out here?
Found him in like a flooded basement, dried him out in the
Yeah,
backyard.
literally. Anyway, that place was cool. Let's see. So January 23rd, 1921, this place called the Lighted Lamp, which was a speakeasy, a naughty tea room, as it was described.
Hey.
yeah.
And it was raided by the police, and it's on the corner of Myrtle and Grove in Boston, and it was in the basement of this like yellow brick house. And the police broke it up. It sounds like it was mostly teenagers, because I guess the police were like, didn't take anyone to jail, but they just brought them home to their parents. And I was like, I just feel like back then, like people had to be brought home to their parents,
Yeah, that's weird.
right?
Yeah, that's really weird. Like,
That's odd.
I mean, I guess I don't know. There was corporal punishment and stuff back then
Yeah.
too. So maybe that's the last
mean,
place you want it to be.
Isn't that weird? Because fuck you guys.
But I guess the
So
And he
it-
got brought home to his
No, when
parents
I was in
last
high
week.
school and they broke up a party, like that's what they would do. They would take you home.
But for me,
Yeah.
I'm like, were kids working until whatever age? You know?
Right.
Oh, I'm sure they were like working at 12.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. Anyway, they got caught because the neighborhood could hear the jazzy tunkle-tinkle.
You were so excited. I just saw your face light up when you were about to read it. You were
All right.
so excited
All
to
right.
go for that.
Of the piano.
Tunkle Tinkle is the Ordinary Keeper's first album.
Oh, I love it, dude. I have a feeling we are going to be the Ordinary Keepers.
Naughty
Yeah.
Tea Room is the first single. Yeah, it sounds like a fun place. It sounded cool.
Naughty Tea Room should be a place.
Yeah. Oh, it actually says the police called their parents, and I was like, that can't be right. Phones? And I'm like, okay, they had
Takes 2
phones
hours
back
to make
then.
one.
They,
I was like, did they all have phones? How accurate was this?
so they invented the wheel to take the kids home.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I was like,
Naughty Tea Room sounds fun, and then I like Lighted Lamp.
yeah, that's great too.
Yeah, little clunky, but I like it.
Yep.
Smells good as Tunkle Tinkle.
Tunkle Tinkle.
Uncle Tinkle one.
Jazzy
I like-
Tunkle Tinkle.
Ordinary Keepers. There's so many good.
I know, right?
I used to write this shit down.
Right.
Don't worry, I got it.
Hey.
And we are recording it.
I'll copy the notes.
I need you for every Bartalk podcast, so at least to help Andy read names.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Let's see. 1922. There was like not a baby boom necessarily, but people started to see a lot more women with carriages around, right? Like bunch of women pushing carts and carriages around,
Ah.
Are they full of booze?
full of booze, even with their
Nice.
kids in it.
I respect
They would
that.
hide.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
would be hiding like whatever they had, handles of whatever, and stuffing it in there and becoming like real life bootleggers themselves. And then
Tying this into modern day, I work at the craft beer cellar. I'd say half the carriages with babies in them now have beer. Because I'm like, you want it back? No, I'm just going to stick it in the carriage.
you're right.
I used to work
I'm
in a
gonna drink
package
it
store
now.
where we busted a lady with a couple handles of booze in her baby
that she was
carriage.
stealing?
And we, and I was about to say, like, that's genius because the last thing a police officer wants to do is be wrong about, like, searching through a baby's carriage.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean?
That
A
should get you
newborn,
on the
like-
news, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Probably even back then when they had, barely had wheels and motorboats, but. Yeah, we busted when I worked at Cardoza's in Fall River. We busted a lady that had 2 handles of vodka at the bottom of her baby carriage. It was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to
Especially
say
for
they're
the
in the
baby.
baby carriage.
No, it was like underneath. But
Underneath,
still.
yeah. They put
Yeah.
like that storage for the diaper bag and your beer.
Yep.
Yep.
They were champion booze hiders, quote unquote. And they
God, that's an Olympic event I'd watch.
they were incremental in the bootlegging process and hiding it. And they even, like, anyone with a well-tailored dress could fit however many bottles, several bottles of booze. And
Crazy.
hooch, as they called it.
I mean,
Booch.
this shit doesn't change. Like, I remember talking to one of my mother's friends, like, way back in the day, and she talked about stuffing beer cans in her tube socks to go into concerts because the bell bottoms hid them.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And I mean, like, who didn't smuggle booze into some place at some point?
That was like me with packs of cigarettes when I wore Jankos back in middle school.
Well, I mean, I went to a dry college, and the way I snuck booze in there was, I stuck them in. I brought my snowboard to school every year.
Yeah.
It was just booze.
Where'd you go to school?
Framingham State.
Oh, okay, yeah, you could bring it over there.
Yep.
You're like, Florida. I brought my snowboard with me.
I rode snowboard this weekend.
Yeah.
It's really attached to it.
So yeah, I mean, that seems like so obvious. So take
course.
advantage of what you got.
Yeah.
Of course.
Everyone's trying to get down and party. May 1930, 2662 Washington Street, police discovered a phone booth that had in the back of a drugstore that had like a sliding door behind the phone booth. That was just a room stocked with booze.
Love it.
Yeah, and they went in and
New definition of last call.
they took 2 clerks into custody, but while they were in the room, I guess someone showed up to grab something to pick up, and the officer handed them a bottle of water, which, like, how do you do that so quickly when you're in the room? I'm like, is there water in there? I always question all the stuff I read. I'm like, what's the validity behind this?
Yeah, it seems a little romanticized.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But I guess he handed him a bottle of water and said, like, I don't know, something you say to someone about to go out on a party, like, don't have too much fun. Like,
Right.
but who knows if that's real.
That's where you got booze back in the day, right? Was the drugstore. Like before
Yeah.
Prohibition,
Yeah.
like you would go to the pharmacy and
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and they'd be
Your
like, you
booze, your
have
cocaine, your heroin.
influenza,
You got the whole
here you
shebang.
go. Just put Vaseline on it.
CVS is just so much cooler.
February 1932, this place called Club Garden, which I thought was cool too.
that's a good
pretty
band
good.
name.
Yeah.
And a good bar name.
On 153 Causeway Street, right across from Boston Garden. So I assume
Club
that's
Garden makes
Club
sense. Yeah.
Garden.
Yeah.
It was a very fancy speakeasy, so it was a secret location. 2 undercovers went in there.
So when you knocked, you had to have your pinky out.
Ah, yes.
Did you really? Oh, fancy.
You got one. Finally got a fastball, Bass Hanna.
Jeez.
Not easy to do.
Stop hitting me.
2 undercovers went in there. I actually thought this story was kind of fun. And they were drinking at the bar, and one of them sneak attacked the bartender, like took him under custody. But the way it sounds like they had guns drawn.
Oh,
They were-
shit.
Yeah, so they like grab a guy. He yells to the other officer, "If anyone runs out of here, shoot him."
Shit.
They were not playing around.
No,
Yeah,
obviously not.
They were like, shoot whoever's like trying to get the hell out of here. And they, while that's happening, I guess like a whole like squad of other officers came running through the doors, blocked off the doors, and they only got 5 arrests. So I don't know how many people were in there,
Yikes.
but it sounded like it was a cool place. So maybe I don't know, the owners, the bartender, right? Like, who would they really have apprehended in there?
Right.
If they're shouting to a crowd of people and they only got 5 people.
The fall guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they confiscated $6,000 worth of booze in that time.
Wow.
So they probably busted the bar back. And like the waitress.
Yeah, right.
Like all the wealthy people who were there drinking probably were like, no, you can go. No,
Yeah,
you can
right,
go."
right. That actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Wait, you were
guaranteed.
checking coats? You're going to jail.
Yep. Guaranteed.
And then, I mean, all descriptions of everything going on back then was just that the law enforcement was at odds. Like, they could not keep up with what was going on through
Right.
all of this. Like, they were constantly fighting the war against alcohol, essentially, right? And I'm sure, like, missing out on other important things happening.
Yeah, using resources
Right.
and their force. That's
Right.
crazy.
It was a big deal, and that was their focus, and probably this happens all the time with us. We focus on, like, the wrong things and
Right.
divert energy to the wrong place, and
Story of my life.
yeah. So now we talked about a little bit what this created for crime. The idea was that it was going to eliminate crime, right? For the people that were dry, like pro-dry America, it was going to get rid of all of our issues. And that was not the case. It really established gangs in the United States, one of which in Boston was the Guston Gang.
Okay.
You guys ever heard about that?
No.
They're Irish. Didn't know if the name gave it away, but
Well, Boston.
yeah. Hey, there's Italian gangs there too.
I know.
Yeah, it's the
Not named
south end
Guston.
of the north end.
Not named Guston.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I'm like, name gave it away, maybe. Frank Wallace and his brothers started off with just petty crimes, and it grew into the business of bootlegging. Like they really were just robbing places, like
Right.
not really establishing themselves with any formidable way to make money as a gang, but they were definitely like criminals
Yeah.
for sure. And once they got into bootlegging, they got themselves a few speedboats, and they were able to become pretty successful rum runners, and just got some contacts with international people and dropping off out 3 miles off on Rum Row. And
It's wild.
I know. It's just so cool to think about. All I really can picture are the speedboats from Indiana Jones too. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Now I can.
Yeah, I'm like, that's the only thing in my mind. Billy Wallace owned a speakeasy called the Spotlight.
Not Mel Gibson. William Wallace?
Oh, yeah,
Braveheart? Come on,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Why?
Good for Mel Gibson.
Billy Wallace.
All right.
Yeah, he owned the Spotlight, which was a speakeasy, and they were able to evade conviction because they got arrested a lot. I think Billy Wallace was arrested more than 25 times.
Holy shit.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
We just let him out an hour later?
So their lawyer, their attorney, was a state senator.
Oh, Jesus Christ. There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
You just do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. So at John McCormick, who was notoriously like skeezy and not
Yeah, you
good.
said lawyer
Right.
and state senator. We get it.
Yeah. Just wanted to spell it out.
Apologies to our state senator listeners out there.
Yep.
But apparently not to our lawyer listeners. You know what you did.
Yeah.
And they started using,
Love
they became like, dressing up like cops and like using false badges and stuff and started acting as undercovers to actually raid other speakeasies and bootleggers.
Oh, so they were crime in the crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Who's gonna report that?
They would,
Right.
Yeah.
they would catch other bootleggers out on the water. They would confiscate all of their whatever the hell they had.
Oh, like pirates.
yeah.
Holy shit.
And then they were doing it to speakeasies too, so they'd literally go in with badges and be like, "You guys, the jig is up.
Holy shit.
Cough it up."
It's wild.
I wonder what they do at the end though, because it's like you imagine police arrest people, so it's like we're taking you, and then they're like just
Yeah, right.
I don't know, beat them up in an alley.
Maybe it's just one of those like we'll let it go,
Let
but
it go
we're
this
taking
time.
all.
Yeah,
of it.
right.
Get out of here, kid.
Or, you
Go
just,
home to your mom.
we'll be right back for you guys, and then just leave.
Yeah.
It's kind of like early mafia stuff, like protection and racketeering and stuff like that. Like basically, the mafia would force people doing less severe crime, pay them off so they wouldn't take over their operation.
Right.
Or doing no crime at all.
Right. Right.
Just running a business.
Just running a
It'd be
business.
something.
Yeah.
It'd be terrible if something happened to your speakeasy.
Correct.
Yeah. Right.
Not saying it's gonna.
It's crazy how that can happen all over the world by different people who had no communication with each other. It's just
Right.
like a human nature to
Yeah.
be a dickhead.
Pretty much.
Unfortunately, 1931, during a hijacking, Frank Wallace, one of the brothers, and his like second in command, Bernard Dodo Walsh.
It's a great name.
Yeah, they were killed. Unfortunately, R.I.P. By Joe Lombardo.
And that's when the Italians come in. Hey, bada boom.
Yep. And this was like the first official shift in power from the Irish controlling like the bootlegging business in Boston and into the Italian American hands. And they would continue to fight over this until today.
Just like The Departed.
Yeah.
You know?
And it really was throughout the entire prohibition process, like Italian American gangs and Irish gangs were fighting.
It's
for
crazy.
profits.
So like prohibition pretty much, and it probably would have happened eventually, back to my point, like humans going to find ways to be dickheads, but prohibition sort of jump-started organized crime in the United States. Like
Yeah.
there was probably already some variable of it beforehand, but to the severity where it is still exists today.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that, you would have stuff like gambling and other small scale stuff, but
Right.
but bootlegging was just on a scale and on a breadth that like it was everywhere. So it wasn't just like the Boston mob doing Boston mob things. It was the Boston mob working with New York, working with Chicago, working with Atlantic City, working
Right.
with Miami. So all of a sudden, instead of little like localized, isolated groups, it was a nationwide interconnected issue, which, yeah, unsurprisingly made things a lot worse for everyone else.
Yeah.
Who knew?
In one of the biggest industries there are.
Right, you
Yeah.
basically gave them like the most powerful weapon to wield. You took these people who already probably had petty organized crime, like things like gambling and
Yeah.
protection and stuff like that, and said, you know what, booze is illegal now. And
We're
we're
gonna shut
not
down-
regulating it
Yeah.
anymore. Here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you have some real fucking power and money, and that's nuts, man.
It was a recipe for disaster.
And a
Or
really good
maybe not
HBO show.
disaster.
Yeah.
Boardwalk Empire.
Boardwalk
right?
Empire was really
Never
good.
watched
that
it.
show.
No, me
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And maybe after this episode, I might actually take a suggestion from somebody on watching a TV show.
It's
Wait, no, Jordan.
It's supposed to be really
whatever you do,
good.
never watch Boardwalk Empire.
oh, fuck you, I'm watching it.
There we go.
so yeah, that was the rest is history. And then Massachusetts was one of the first states to hop on being like a dry state, and it pulled it back in 1933. And when we look at, we forgot to talk about a Kennedy.
I was going to bring that up, but I knew I was going to be jumping the notes. I knew
You
I
did
was-
so good.
I know. I really wanted to bring it up. But I'm like, Hanna keeps hitting me, so I'm just going to sit here with my mouth shut.
So you know which Kennedy it was?
That was John Kennedy's father, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Joseph, right?
Joseph
Yeah.
P. Kennedy. That's right. He owned a saloon. There were obvious rumors of him bootlegging because he
Was a
owned
Kennedy.
it. Yeah, because he was a Kennedy. Yeah, he just had a lot of power, and he took advantage of it right when it reopened, and there was heavy rumors that he owned like rum running things and
Because
speakeasies.
all of a
and
sudden it was
bootlegging.
legal again. And look, I've got so much stock.
He's like,
Where
this
did
is
come
crazy.
from?"
I just had all this set up.
I just found all this stuff. I don't know what you're talking about,
I had
guys.
no idea this was gonna even happen. This is wild.
Like, it's just been an art installation for like 15 years. I'm just happy to use it again.
Yep.
Yeah, I was all in storage. So yeah, he hopped on that bandwagon. I almost did forget to talk about him, but he was at the end of my notes. But good job. Do you have anything else to say about him?
About him? No.
Yeah,
I was
no.
just going to say that I heard that's where all the Kennedy's money came from.
Yeah, they did say it was. It's very rumored, though. That was like the quotes all over the place about him.
It's weird. Every time I heard it wasn't a rumor, it's like that's where the Kennedy's money came from.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's kind of badass. I don't know. I'm just like, I look at the whole prohibition thing and I get why they did it and stuff like that. But you look back at it and look how silly it kind of seems, especially being in the bar business. I'm like, why would you ever prevent people from drinking if they wanted to drink? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It is what it is. And I don't know. Just seeing how people kind of figure out a way to, do something like making gin in their bathtub and coming up with this like super intricate network
Yeah.
to distribute
Yeah.
it to the
Yep.
people. And I just love that. Like how, booze finds a way.
Yeah,
Kind of
well-
like Jurassic Park was.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess.
I think that we got a title for the episode.
Oh, I've got so
We got
many
a lot of
titles for this
titles, yeah.
episode. I'm torn.
I guess cocktails were not actually a thing before.
I was just going to say that.
Right.
I always jump ahead
Right.
of her notes. I was just
No,
gonna say it.
you have not jumped
I
ahead
know.
at all. This is like they're self-controlled.
They were invented to make
You can
really
see
poorly
his eye
made
twitch.
spirits taste
Tastes
good,
good.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're had all this this like gross alcohol and had to bless you.
Nice.
Which is funny because I was watching Django Unchained last night.
Oh yeah.
And there's a scene in there where Leonardo DiCaprio's character
So
gets like this
excited about that,
crazy cocktail that's like served in a coconut. And I'm like, those didn't exist. That's bullshit. The only thing in that movie that I don't like.
Oh yeah.
'cause
It was for they were making them at home and they were like, this tastes
before
bad.
Prohibition, so there wasn't cocktails.
Right, everybody just kind of drank everything straight up. Like
Yeah.
they might have blended spirits, but they weren't
Yeah, I
Right.
mean,
Coconut.
shaking
it
it.
wouldn't have
over
been
ice
in a
and-
it wouldn't have been in a coconut. And,
Right.
Yeah, it really was a living room made like ladies were just like, let's get this going because this tastes bad.
Right.
And invent a new way to drink this.
The stuff is awful. It needs juice.
And it always started. It was started with like herbs and stuff, right? Like it was like they were like put a shitload of rosemary or whatever was kind of
Yeah.
around. Whatever was super strong to
Yeah.
kind of doctor it.
It'd
So-
be cool to go back and look at like what the recipes for like bootlegging time.
The fossil drinks, I think they call them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of the and I make fun of the mixologist thing all the time because I hate the word mixologist. You're not a doctor, but unless you do study cocktails for a living and you have a doctorate in it, I don't know if that exists. But bartenders, to their credit, a lot of bartenders these days that really take their job seriously, and there's a couple in town, do screw around with that kind of stuff. There is books out there about it and stuff. It's pretty awesome. Like,
Yeah, I actually found an antique one in Savers and I gave it to my friend who's a bartender.
that's awesome.
Yeah. I didn't look through it at all.
Because it'll
Obviously.
fall apart like the Lifetime magazine.
It was,
Yeah,
it was it's pretty cool though. I don't know if she still has it, but
I do find a lot of those. So the prohibition drinks, which like where cocktails kind of originated. Well, they did originate.
Yeah.
They all kind of taste the same.
yeah.
Because they did just kind of grab what was next to them that was really strong. Like they always have like a real heavy like anise flavor
Yeah.
from like star anise or rosemary or mint and like spice like
I know people love anise. So
yeah,
gross.
and it's just everything just tasted like licorice. That's the way I imagine it.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of people were just drinking Twizzlers like
Yeah.
back in the day.
Ugh.
That's
Yeah.
not even real licorice, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Picking up
But-
those things.
Everything tasted like Sambuca.
But an interesting thing is
my
like
nightmare.
even after Prohibition, that shit really didn't necessarily go away because I was talking with someone earlier today, and like we still have blue laws,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I
Well-
can remember in my lifetime, and I'm curious to see who else can, because fuck you guys. It used to be illegal to buy alcohol on Sunday.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
grandfather used to tell me about that.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
wasn't that long.
wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. It was in my lifetime.
Yeah, it wasn't long
He set
ago.
himself up on that.
Yeah, they switched that out a little while back.
It was about 20 years ago, I think,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
There's still dry towns in Massachusetts
Yes,
too.
I have a
Yeah.
list of them.
Oh,
Right.
really?
And Rhode Island, I know Barrington is because I used to live right near there. but-
I totally forgot to, while we were talking about flavors, juniper.
Juniper.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm like, there's one thing we need to say. and
Yes.
It's juniper.
Which is the main ingredient in gin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a non-alcoholic spirit, and that's the main ingredient in it. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool for you
where you get that.
dry folk out there.
Piney flavor from.
Yeah.
Spruce Tips was another big one,
I
which
love
is the same
spruce
thing.
tips. I
Yeah.
make spruce tip jelly. It's $4 a jar.
We saved that for last call. I know you guys don't do that on
Yeah.
OCM, but you know.
Yeah. Dry towns now, as of 2016, so they might have updated.
Okay.
It's the most current list. And I was reading these and I was like, if someone was making a joke about Massachusetts and listing towns that weren't real, these are what they sound
Hell
like.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I love this.
Dunstable, which I know about, but still.
It's just setting the tone. Though.
Yeah. Alford,
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Someone got really drunk and meant to put Alfred and then put Alfred, and they were like, you know what? No more drinking.
Chilmark,
Nope.
They just smoke weed.
Yeah.
They don't need booze.
Gosnold,
I got nothing. That sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Hawley,
Holly?
Hawle.
Hawley.
Hawley.
How do they expect anybody with a Massachusetts accent pronounce that? Hawley.
It's probably like
Aggressively.
They probably pronounce
Yeah.
it. They probably pronounce it Holden.
right.
Montgomery, which I know about.
Yeah.
West Hampton. And I
Okay.
know about Northampton. I didn't know about West Hampton.
Yeah. Northampton's dry?
No. I
oh,
just knew about town, the name of the
okay. I was
town.
going to say, Northampton's a wild place.
I know. They would be stupid if they were. And Mount Washington.
No shit. That's you know what? That's not as many as I thought there would be.
Yeah.
I thought there'd be a lot more.
That's
It's
it.
Especially Western Mass.
There
Yeah.
used to be, when I lived in Natick, a lot of the towns, I want to say it was like,
Were there
were
drive-throughs?
dry. Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's like the exact opposite. Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm like, did they have
The
drive-throughs?
exact opposite is
Oh,
Plymouth.
I thought you meant like you drive through them because inside booze.
No. There's drive-through liquor stores.
It must be so. I wonder how towns, and this goes into a whole other thing that I don't speak really well. I'm not very well versed on, but
I thought you just meant in general.
yeah, just in general, as I stumble through the sentence.
New
But
accent, you know.
you get a lot of like tax revenue and stuff from alcohol, and on the town-based level as well, not just state. I wonder how towns like this kind of compensate for that, because all their money, people are still drinking in these towns. They're just
Yeah.
going to the town over and
Right.
spending their money. So how does that dynamic work out? You know, how do the politicians in that town consistently decide every quarter or whatever that, hey, we're completely fine with losing out on this tax money?
It's just different tax rates for different
Property
things.
tax,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
the
you're
property-
paying
yeah.
elsewhere and you're not getting the booze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you
Yeah.
want to live in a dry town?
The same reason we just got casinos, Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Touche.
Yeah,
There's
different
a
tax rates.
big NIMBY issue.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can drink, but you can't drink near me.
Right.
I know Wareham just passed. We're banning the sale of nips in a lot of towns on the Cape are.
I've
That's
been hearing
funny.
that, yeah.
My business partner owns a restaurant in Wareham, and he just started carrying nips
Oh, really?
because they're cheaper per ounce. Remember I talked about
Yeah,
it in a
yeah,
couple
yeah, yeah.
podcasts
Well,
ago.
Yeah, but I don't
November.
think
He
he's-
has till November to stock up.
Well, that's the thing.
Ah,
I don't know if he can't buy them or if he can't sell them because I don't know if it would apply to a business. He's not selling them as nips.
No,
True.
you're right. He's just
Not
pouring
like
them
he's
into his
yeah,
drink.
he could buy them.
because it's a
yeah.
litter.
Like he's
Yeah,
not selling
it's
them
the
to
litter
go.
issue,
I
yeah.
mean,
Right. Did
he's-
we ever find out why they call them nips? Because remember we said that was only a Massachusetts
Yeah, it is
thing?
Massachusetts.
It is
thing.
only a Massachusetts thing, and I
And
think I
Wisconsin.
just talked about
Oh,
it.
okay.
Weird.
Yeah.
Do you remember the candy called nickel nips? It was those little wax bottles
Yeah.
that had the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
juice in
yeah.
them.
I
yeah,
remember
they still
those.
have them.
Oh,
They
I
just
like
don't call
those.
them nickel nips anymore.
Yeah, those are illegal now. You know, you can't have them
And
anymore.
then I'm pretty
What,
sure
nickels?
if
They don't cost a
if my memory serves me correctly too, we passed to have certain areas of town are authorized to do drive-through liquor stores now.
No shit.
Yeah.
Where in Wareham?
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, just fucking go inside. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Can
know.
you imagine the line that's going to be at these places?
Just a certain like we did a few rezoning laws, and
Yeah,
I believe
I
that was
just-
like
I
on
just- I
certain
just don't
strips
get
in
that.
the town.
No
that you're
kidding.
allowed to.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be like Chick-fil-A, dude. It's like 2 lines, drive through, people
Yeah.
going to your car.
Anyway, that's Wareham's liquor update. And let's see. Well, we're rolling down to the end of this story, and I wanted to end on a Plymouth note.
Okay.
So we know about the oldest liquor store in Plymouth. Anyone have a guess? Since Prohibition.
Since
Is it
Prohibition.
Piappi's?
Yeah.
Holy shit! No way.
Yeah, I feel like we had that conversation.
did.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I cheated.
Oh, that's cool. Was it in the same location?
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to ask.
You imagine that, like, because that strip
yeah.
mall would have had to been like built around.
I
there.
You
honestly-
know, like it's that old.
Right.
I honestly think if it wasn't in that location, it's definitely in North Plymouth at some area
Yeah.
of that.
Right.
They've expanded. They've done a lot of growing as a business, so I can't say it's even the original building, but like
Yeah.
probably same area.
It's awesome.
So 1933, Anthony Tony Piappi and Louis Knife, like L. Knife and Son.
Oh. That is
For our listeners, that's a
listeners.
liquor distributor, yeah.
That is a liquor distributor in town, probably the biggest one in the South Shore. They carry beer, Budweiser, all that stuff.
On the first wet day in Massachusetts, they rode in on Clydesdales from
Budweiser's.
yeah,
That's
No shit.
with the first liquor license to be issued in Plymouth.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
That's awesome.
What,
Right,
do you know what the date
That's
of
how
that
they should
is?
give out liquor licenses now.
Right, right. You just get delivered by a freaking Clydesdale.
If in 1933 a law is passed, and they usually like put it into action anywhere from like 30 days after to within a year. So I don't know the day, but I think it was pretty close to
So
the
I'm like,
start
how's
of the
that
year.
not a holiday?
Right, no shit.
I
wet
I
day?
could look it up. I bet it's in the article.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a whole new significance when they do the Thanksgiving parade and the Clydesdales are in it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
you don't even think about that connection.
Oh, yeah,
like, I just
yeah,
thought,
yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
Clydesdales, everybody thinks they're cool because they know them from Budweiser. But no, L Knife is in town, the big distributor. They're the Bud
Yeah.
distributor. And then
Yeah.
Yeah,
liquor license.
PRPs.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they received their liquor license, and it was like a big little parade. Big little parade. A little oxymoron for you. And
the ones we had in COVID.
this
With
Massachusetts becoming a wet state again, it also birthed a phrase that we use very regularly here that isn't used in other states because of the way they pass their law.
Huh.
And why we call it a package store.
Oh, okay.
So within the law being passed, it required that anyone distributing alcohol and like a person carrying it out of the store, the supplier of the alcohol was supposed to supply the person like buying it with coverage. They weren't allowed to leave with like any, it's not like an open bottle. It's like you couldn't see that you were buying alcohol.
Right.
Oh.
Hence the brown paper bags and the
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's within the bylaw that Massachusetts passed, that, or the amendment to it, that they could not leave a store without it being packaged.
no
Oh,
shit.
that's-
That is wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a great bit of little trivia.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because that comes up in conversation all the time. I'm going to the packy, and there's always that one person in the room that's like,
call a package store?
and they're like, I don't know. What are they? And no one ever Googles it.
Yeah.
There we go. Listen to the Bartalk podcast / Old Colony podcast, and you'll get your.
Learned so
So-
much from the Old Colony cast. 'Cause
Yeah.
I do no research.
So
We were talking about that before you got here.
yeah.
yeah, that's where that came from.
That's
and,
awesome.
Yep, it had to be packaged out, and that's why we called them. They were called package stores, like right from the jump.
No
from
shit.
That. Yeah. And
That's wicked cool.
And that's why it's a Massachusetts thing, because it was written into the initial first law of amending prohibition in Massachusetts.
Now I really want to find out why they call them nips. Can I Google that? Can I break a rule?
What rule?
What
We
rule?
Google
What rule?
stuff so much.
I make him.
I feel like we
Google
never
things
do
all
that.
the
Where it was like,
time.
can't Google it.
I'm always like, Fish, how do I say this? And also, can you look up this random thing that I forgot to write down?
I
So,
feel
yeah.
like Fish
Yeah.
Googles all the time.
Yeah, I either Google or out of.
You think he
Pop
actually knows all that
context,
shit?
All right, I'm looking it up.
It's hurtful.
But that really, besides finding out what NIPS derives from, that's where I end our story of prohibition in
the-
Massachusetts / Plymouth.
Do we get an answer?
Nothing yet, because all the stuff that Hannah was just talking about nips being illegal, that's not just happening in Wareham.
Yeah.
And that's all that's popping up.
Yeah,
on the
it
feed
will
right
take
now.
you a little bit to weed through that.
Yeah.
But if we find it,
Yeah, we'll do like a little recap.
we'll add it. I know. So, and now we live in such a different world, obviously, where alcohol has been legal for a long time. And
It has.
In Plymouth is a bustling, busy nightlife and has been growing that for a long time.
It was about 5 or 6 years ago. There was an article, and it was Plymouth was the most drinkingest town in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And my
You found
favorite,
it?
and
You
my
gotta find a
favorite,
way quicker
my
to
favorite
read it.
part was there was a picture in the
same as
article,
mine.
and it was the New World Tavern.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the answer?
You gotta read it because it's got fun words for you.
Okay, cool.
Wait, I
Oh
got
no,
it.
Andy's gonna read it. 'cause
Okay,
he
you
put out
read it.
Stuff.
All right,
It was the same as mine?
If you're not from New England, the word nip is the regional slang for a tiny bottle of booze, usually 50 milliliters in size. It's thought that these bottles originated as tasters in the mid 1800s. The term nip likely comes from the Low German word nipperkin.
Yes!
And was
That's
used
why I
as
gotta
early
read it.
as 1796.
Here we go. Nipperkin.
Nipperkin.
Another cool word to add to our collection of cool words. we
Yeah,
have.
it's
Yeah.
been a
Yeah.
pretty, I don't know, we're picking up a lot of
I
cool
still like
lingo.
Ordinary Keepers.
Ordinary keepers.
Yeah.
Nipperkin. What were the other ones?
Oh, what was the music
like-
one?
Lamplight? Like
Oh.
Tunkle-tinkle.
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 Yeah, the tunkle-tinkle, jazzy tunkle-tinkle.
Was it Sexy Tea House?
Sexy
Naughty
tea
tea
house.
house.
Naughty Tea House.
That
Naughty
sounds
House.
is the most British thing I've ever heard of.
Yep.
It really is.
It really, it's like
Sounds like a variety show.
naughty tea house.
Yeah.
tea house.
I think it was in that Austin Powers movie.
What was the lamp one?
Lighted lamp.
The lighted
lamp,
lamp,
yeah.
I just thought
That-
it was
that's
a nice
just a
name.
cool restaurant
Yeah,
name,
yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so we've come a long way, and I think it's cool to see the comparison of like you mentioned earlier, weed being legalized and different process on what that looks like, but we have had a prohibition on weed, like when you think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For
We
You
sure.
really
know?
have.
And technically, there still
Most
is
drugs,
one. Like, it's not federally legal.
No, it's not.
The
which is
crazy thing about
crazy.
weed is because about ignorance about what it actually was. Like everybody knew what booze was. They weren't concerned about health. They were just concerned about crime. Like with weed, they were like, no, weed makes you crazy and causes you to
Yeah.
go to other drugs and crime and all that. When
Well,
really
I
it kind of
think-
does the opposite.
That was
No,
the
for-
excuse they used.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
money.
And
Yeah.
Tobacco and
Jordan, all the racism.
Yeah,
no,
that
It's
too.
like weed. Booze. Booze is a white people's problem.
Correct.
Weed. Oh, they're kind of brown. We can't do that. That's
Yeah.
not okay.
That is a fantastic
it's
point.
Why half the time the reason stuff becomes illegal is because we don't like the people who use it.
One of the reasons why I hate leaving the house every morning. Shit's everywhere.
Yeah. Reagan, man.
Fucking Reagan. Goddamn Reagan.
He started that war on drugs early.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Earlier than people think. Yeah.
I don't-
Full circle.
I'm pretty sure he would have been alive. So yeah, I will blame Baby Reagan.
Yeah.
Baby Reagan?
Yeah.
Baby Reagan it caused prohibition.
He's the Antichrist.
Sure, I'm down with that. All right, so
So
on
I think
that
that's
note,
last
yeah.
call. 'Cause I really don't know how to respond to that. This is the part where we go around the table and people can plug whatever the hell they want to plug. And I can start with Jordan.
Cool. Damn. All right. So I know this is a Bartalk podcast, but every once in a while we got to dry out a little bit. I am on the wagon right now to dry out my head a little bit. So I'm going to plug a non-alcoholic business in town, Speedwell Coffee, which I'm sipping on at the moment.
No relation.
No relation to Speedwell Tavern. But great business over there. They roast their local roasters. They're located right in Plymouth Industrial Park, right near the airport, actually, not Industrial Park. They're located right near the airport. And you can go there, you can buy ground coffee, whole bean coffee, nitro coffee in cans. I've served their stuff on Speedwell's Draft Cocktail next door. But go check them out. Super fresh. It's much better than Starbucks. Sorry, Starbucks, but it is. So yeah, go check them out. They're right in town.
Dan.
I have a long rant, but I'm going to save it for the next episode. 'Cause
Okay.
It doesn't fit in with this context. So, I don't know. Come to Plymouth and
So you should say
buy
like
stuff.
Luden's cough drops or something.
Yeah, here's plug.
Not a
Check
sponsor.
out
Not a
my
sponsor.
900 number sex line / Miss Cleo fortune teller.
Oh, it's the same.
Yeah.
We can solve all
Wait,
your
do
problems.
you tell fortunes
Call 'em now
about
for your free
people's
reading.
sex lives?
Listen, I don't know.
All right.
If
I
you
just
pay
started
enough, you
today.
will.
Yeah.
Hannah,
Everything's got a price.
Does it have to be in Plymouth?
you can plug anything you like.
All right. Really cool little cafe in Rochester, down the street from me in Wareham. Ansel's Cafe. It's BYOB. Has that speakeasy vibe to me, but it's like a really cool garden. They do breakfast, lunch, dinner now, and they have funky hours, but they're very cool, very low key, woman owned,
Nice.
and attached to a very cool I don't know how else to put this, but like witchy kind of store, and
Okay.
What's the name of it again?
Ansel's Cafe.
Awesome. I will check that out.
It's
on my way
very,
home.
very nice. I love it there. And if you go there on a nice day, you get a seat outside in the garden. It's awesome.
Sick.
Yeah.
Cool. Fish is looking at me. Do you have something to plug?
Do I ever have anything to plug?
No. Usually I even forget you're here.
Fish is just sitting there smiling blankly. I'm like, dude, are you like stoned right now? I was like, damn, I've never seen Fish with a Tin Man grin before.
Okay, I'm going to plug the Old Colony Cast. If you enjoyed today's episode, me and Hannah do all sorts of local topics, mostly history. She does all the heavy lifting and the research. I just kind of sit there and play the fool because it's what I'm good at.
Play the fool. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
It's a big act.
Yeah, that's right.
He's method.
Yeah, I am that.
He dives deep into his roles.
And we've done a lot of topics. We've done Burial Hill, Plymouth Rock. We did the Aaron Hernandez case. We did Lizzie
The
Bordenhouse.
molasses flood.
The molasses
That was a cool
flood.
one. Yep.
Just all sorts of cool
I
local
know. We've done a
stores.
lot of stuff
It's kind
now.
of crazy.
It's
Yeah.
crazy how this all ended up.
We did King Richard's Fair.
That was the one. That was
yeah.
the first one I listened to.
Oh, really?
Was the King Richard's Fair
Yeah.
one.
No
It was
way.
mind blowing. Yeah, because you had just interviewed someone that was like a director over there too.
I think it was the same episode.
Yeah,
It was
that
the
was,
same-
yeah,
same
yeah, we
episode
guest on
would
that
be,
one.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and the whole thing happened. We met Hannah at one of our events, and
the Krampus.
the
thing.
Krampus scavenger hunt, which coming back this year, and she's like, I love podcasts and I love local history, and I'm like, you should come on and be a guest.
I
And then she
think
kept talking.
I-
I'm like, you should be on the co-host.
I think my friend Allie did some sweet talking that night. She was like, Hannah knows everything. You
Yeah.
have to have her on. And I was like, I don't know that much. I don't know that much. We were having a fun
And
night.
if
but
you really want a good take, listen to the Burial Hill episode, because that's when I'm like, holy shit, this is what Old Colony Cast meant to be, because Hannah lies.
I don't.
I was so
don't.
mad and happy.
I
to
told
say
a
that.
ghost story.
Yeah,
'cause
but you
we were
didn't
talking
tell us it
about
was a ghost story
I-
until the end.
Yes.
It's almost like every episode you'll go, like be so deep into it, you could tell that Andy's like falling asleep for a little bit, and then you'll just go off on a tangent.
That was only one episode. That's a whole
Oh,
other
dude,
story.
it was so good, and you were like, "Really?" And you just be like, "Wait, really?" No, I just made that all up because I knew you weren't paying attention.
Oh, that was only one episode.
Was it? I feel like that was more than one.
No. He does like to give me time to say what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about it.
I try
off
not
air.
to cut her off.
Yeah.
But yep, so that's what you can expect over there. And if you want to hear more Bartalk, we will be back again in 2 weeks with another episode. You can email us at bartalkcast@gmail.com with your questions, complaints, rants about how mixologists are people.
Wario.
Yeah, they are. They're just not working at TGI Fridays. All right.
And you can find us on all social medias at BartalkCast. And just so we can loop this back into the Old Colony cast, Hannah, this is the part where we stop talking. Thanks for listening to today's podcast. You can find us on all social medias at Inebriart or on Instagram at Inebriart6. You can email us at inebriart@yahoo.com. And make sure you listen to the other podcasts on the Inebriart Podcast Network, including Bartalk, Old Colony Cast, Retro Redoctopus, America's Hometown Horror Podcast, and our newest one, Theme Park Legends, a podcast about working at theme parks. What else? And we'll catch you again next time.